Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you here. Can you please let me know in the chat box if you can hear me? You can type in 1 or yes if you can hear me, and it would be amazing if you let me know. Yay! You can hear me. I hope you can also see me. I'm sorry, my webcam is making me a bit blurry at times, but there's nothing I can do about it right now, so it will be okay. I have slides prepared, so you can still read and see the videos, even when I am blurry. Right, it would be really nice to get to know you a little bit. So can you type in your name and where are you from? Because I think we have very many different people from different countries over here. Yay, Danielle in the US, Portugal and Denmark, Germany, even Canada. That's really cool. So many different countries from different parts of the world. Hi, Colleen from the USA. So it was really nice to see that there's so much interest in this webinar. So there should be quite many of us attending here today, which is really cool. Marie from the US, yay, hello. Right, from South Africa. So Kirsten, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Can you say if your audio, like, do you mean that you can't hear us or you can't speak? Because if you can't speak to us, then that's okay. I switched off the audios for you. Sorry, because there are so many of oh, there we go. I think she got the good tip. Because also it's the first time for me to host such a big webinar. So just bear with me if I don't know answers to every single question. And hopefully it does look like there are people who do know this kind of things. So that's great. Excellent. She got it. Right. So before we get started, I have a fun raffle for you. So a lottery. Hi, Miri. I love you too. I love you too. So I have a lottery for you. I just posted on the Moving Canine Facebook page that we are live, that we are on this webinar and it's happening right now. And I would like you to go and share this post with your friends for a chance to win a course, a full course on body awareness and balance exercises for your dog. So if you go and share this post on the Facebook page, so the Moving Canine is the Facebook page. I think I can also enter the link to the post so you can directly go and see it. Hopefully. So I will put it here in the chat. So the direct link to the post, the Facebook page. If you go, oh, yay, shared. So, and at the end of this webinar, I announced the winner who gets a full course of body awareness and balance exercises. And you can also let us know here if you shared the post. So then I get an idea of who shared it and who didn't. Yay, thank you, Kathy. Excellent. So let's see how many there should be. Right, there are almost 100 of us here. So thank you so much for joining. And it does look like it's, well, for me, it's 7 p.m. So that's the 12 p.m. or noon Eastern time, 4 p.m. in the Universal time. And it's time to get started with our webinar. So I'm going to share my screen where I have prepared some slides for you. And do let me know if, again, in the chat box, yes, it will be recorded. And I'm going to quickly talk about the housekeeping soon. So I will mention the duration and the recording and everything there. So now in the chat box, please let me know if you can actually see my slides. Oh, hello, Jana. Yes, excellent. So I will now put it on the full screen mode. So the webinar, and let's get started. So today we are going to talk about 3 must-have ingredients for running the dog walk safely. And by the number of sign-ups for this live webinar, I can say that there's huge interest in this topic, and so many of you would like the dog walk to be a safer place for your dog, which is amazing, and it's really great to see that. So first of all, let me go over some of the housekeeping rules that I have in place here to make sure that it goes fluently for everyone and everyone has a really nice experience here. So I'm aiming for this webinar to be about 60 to 75 minutes long. However, I haven't ran this before, so it's the first time I'm doing it live. And it may happen that you have more questions, and if that's the case, I will be still here and we can talk them through. And I will be here for longer. So we'll see how long it takes, but the goal is 60 to 75 minutes. So also make sure to keep your microphones switched off. I have disabled the microphones for you, and make sure that you don't switch them on, because there are so many of us, and if microphones get switched on, then occasionally we may hear some household chat in the background. So let's keep the microphones switched off. So at the end of this webinar, there will be Q&A, and there will be moments during the webinar where I will ask you questions, or just like to make sure that you are on the same track and so on. But most of the questions and answers will be in the end. And in the middle of the webinar, I won't be able to see your questions, okay? So try to keep your questions till the end. There will be a replay available for a limited time after this webinar. So I believe it will be for a week or so. And just to give you a heads up that if you are catching the replay, then I am showing some video clips during this webinar, and they don't save with a good quality, unfortunately. So heads up about the quality of the videos being a little bit poorer during the replay. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it. I tried to prepare the slides so that you will still get the information that is presented in the videos. So hopefully nothing will go missing if the video quality isn't great. Also, please shut down the distractions. So now that you've shared the post on Facebook, close Facebook, because we know what a black hole it can be for distractions and dragging us away from things that are actually interesting for us. Also, this is the first time I'm running such a big webinar. It's really cool, and thank you for joining me. But just to let you know that I'm running it alone. So there may be tech stuff happening. There may be other things happening. I'm doing my best to keep it going smoothly and so that you would have a nice experience during this webinar. But bear with me if something does happen, that the internet disappears or the sound disappears or something. I will try to get it fixed as soon as possible. And most importantly, just close down the distractions and enjoy. And once again, thank you for joining me today. In case we haven't met before, so I do see some familiar faces here, some familiar names, but in case we haven't met before, then I am Mari Valgma, and I am a certified professional canine fitness trainer since 2017. And I have been working as a canine fitness trainer since then, full-time canine fitness trainer. Initially, I did do some traditional strengthening work, but recently my area takes me more towards movement exercises for dogs. So not necessarily strength building, but actually troubleshooting how to improve their performance and actually how to transfer the gym exercises that we do with our dogs. So maybe in a small area doing sit to stands, doing paw target exercises and this kind of work, how can we actually transfer it to real life applications? Or how can we train real life situations in our backyard so that our dogs would be better prepared for the challenges they are facing in sport? So basically, I am helping experienced and dedicated sport and working dog owners train their dogs to move with balance, precision, and awareness. And the main goal is for dogs to be able to focus better on the work, react quickly to cues, but most importantly, that they would be safer during the work and the sports that they are doing, so that they would have fewer falls and accidents that could potentially end as career-ending injuries. And also, just one of my proud moments from last summer is that I'm also featured on Agility Nation, which is really cool and such a huge honor. Now, just to double check if you are in the right place. So this webinar and this approach to dog walk training is best suited to agility handlers who are training, maybe you are training your young dog for a dog walk. So either a running or a stopped contact, but you are training for a dog walk. It is also for you if your dog often loses balance, if you see misplacing feet off to the side of the dog walk, you see your dog losing balance, maybe struggling, maybe falling off. And it can be also that your dog is mentally unsure on the dog walk, so that your dog doesn't feel safe or comfortable when moving on it. Maybe you have had a bad experience with dog walk. Like one of my students said that she personally has post-traumatic dog walk disorder, basically. So her current dog hasn't had accidents, but she has had really bad experience and she's now worried. Or maybe you just want to make sure that your dog has the skills for running the dog walk safely. And here's what we will cover today. is we'll talk about how Sirka, so the very first dog walk course student, how she actually got from being very careless on the dog walk to running it with speed, precision, and balance. We'll also talk about the 3 essential types of exercises. So we won't be talking exactly about how to, and I won't be teaching you exact exercises, but we will be talking about the 3 types of exercises that your dog needs for running the dog walk with confidence and without falling. And we'll also talk about the one very special, and it's very close to my heart, one type of exercise that actually links your dog's gym workouts to real life challenges. And also, I just want to make sure that I do mention this, that this training is not for you if you don't believe that fitness training can improve your dog's performance, because here I really don't want to argue about whether fitness training is actually beneficial or not, because I strongly believe that it is. Also, if you are looking for quick fixes to problems, because we can't really fix something overnight. It always takes some time and some practice and work, basically. So we need to be willing to put it in. And also, lastly, if you don't really like getting an offer at the end of a free webinar, then I'm sorry, but this is what I'm going to do here today. So just to make you sure that you get a heads up on this as well. Now, I also want to give you a really nice reward, because, well, we are positive reinforcement trainers, aren't we? So we talk about rewards and reinforcements. And I have a reinforcement or a reward for you for staying till the end. And at the end, you can download a full PDF slide deck of all the slides that I'm going to share today. So you get all the exercises and everything that we talk about today as a PDF, and you can keep it for life. So while the webinar recording goes away after a week or so, then this PDF slide deck will stay with you for a lifetime, which is cool. So, sorry, just a sip of water. Now, why are we here? Why are we even talking about dog walk specific exercises for our dogs? And here I would like to share with you Rita's story. So Rita is a human and Sirka is the dog, because names can be a bit confusing, especially if we are in an international company. So Rita is the human. And Rita attended my in-person classes. And about a year ago, she came to me saying that Sirka has a problem when training the running dog walk. So basically, what happened was that as soon as they took the target mat training on the actual dog walk, although it was on a low setting, but still the actual dog walk, as soon as they did that, then Sirka started placing her feet off to the side of the dog walk, often either 1 or 2 feet. She was also falling and stumbling when training the dog walk. And Rita didn't really like the advice that she got from the trainers. So it's very often said that your dog learns from the mistakes, from the falls, and it will just work itself. The problem will disappear and it will get solved by like that. But Rita was really worried. She was like, it doesn't look normal. And she was really worried that with increasing performance speed. So in agility, the courses are getting really fast, especially with the running dog walk, with some of the dogs like flying over the dog walk in just 2 strides, basically. Then the speed is getting quite extreme. And also the courses and the approach angles to the dog walk are getting more and more challenging because the judges want to test your skills and your dog skills. So dog walk being so narrow and high obstacle and something where your dog can easily fall off from, it makes it quite dangerous nowadays, especially with the speed that the dogs are running it with. And Rita, I'm getting the names mixed up. So Rita was super worried about Circa one day just not managing the fall anymore. And both of us also have a friend whose dog did get the lifetime injury from falling from a dog walk. So it's something to really seriously consider, that maybe there is a way that we can make it safer for our dogs. And here's just an example about what Rita was worried about. So if you can see, then Circa is already misplacing her paw when running up the dog walk, and then she struggles to regain balance, and it ends in a fall that luckily ended with like 4 paws towards the ground. So it wasn't a really bad fall, but fall it was. So this kind of misplaced foot was a very common problem with Circa when Rita first came to me. And Rita asked me then if there are any movement exercises that we can do to make it easier for Circa and make her stay on the dog walk, basically. So here's just a sequence of images to those who watch the replay in case the video doesn't play well. So Circa misplacing her foot when running up the dog walk, and then struggling to regain balance, and followed by a fall. And here again, I'm sharing Rita's own words, here, that then we started brainstorming and came up with exercises, focusing especially on moving on a narrow surface. So balancing exercises on narrow surfaces, coordination exercises, and different exercises where the dog quickly has to regain balance on narrow surfaces, because that's what the dog walk is. And we also worked on moving on a narrow surface and making sure that the main criteria was Circa touching the narrow surface at all times, or the platform or balance disc or whatever we were using at the time. And basically, very quickly after we started with these exercises, Circa stopped misplacing her paws on the dog walk. And like Rita writes here, soon she realized that, oh my goodness, there hasn't been a single incident or a fall for a very long time. Now it has been a year and Circa hasn't had any incidents for a year. And before that, it was very common for her to misplace her paws and fall off the dog walk. So it was, it's quite a story, and it's a very inspiring story, and I hope that it gives you ideas and courage to work on this, I think, because I take a wild guess that if you're here, then it is possible that you either have had problems with the dog walk, or you're just worried about the speed that your dog may create when running on the dog walk. So the lessons from Circa's story is that balancing and moving on a narrow surface, it can and should be taught away from the actual dog walk. So it's not that let's take our target mat straight to the dog walk and then our dogs just have to learn moving on a narrow surface while trying to hit the target mat, but actually we can teach the moving on the narrow surface away from the dog walk. And I would say that learning how to move on a narrow surface is actually a prerequisite for training the dog walk. So it's not just something that you could do just for fun, but it's something that you should do so that you can actually, before you actually start training the dog walk. And I strongly believe that not teaching your dog how to move and how to balance on a narrow surface is probably one of the biggest mistakes you can make, especially when we are talking about the agility and training a dog walk. And I will discuss it further today, that it will also potentially slow your progress because your dog has to multitask, trying to do different things at the same time. And also it puts your dog at an unnecessary risk. So they don't really need to fall off the dog walk all the time. They don't need to learn only from the falls, okay? And you can only imagine, like if you can imagine the worry that comes with the dog walk performance or your dog falling off or repeatedly misplacing the paws, then you can also imagine Rita's relief when finally Circa stopped falling off the dog walk and now is running it like an old pro. And if she could do it, so can you. And I am here to give you some ideas on how to get started. So as I said, it won't be exactly a how-to webinar. We will be talking about exercises, but I'm not here to teach you exactly how to do them. But we will, I hope that you actually have the skills already in place to start doing these exercises with your dog as soon as possible. So hopefully you will get some inspiration on what to work on. Okay. Just checking the time to see if we are on the 60-minute mark or it will be a bit longer. I think it will be a bit longer. So just to give you a heads up. And a quick sip. And I see that there are quite many messages. So I will just check the chat box for a second. So meanwhile, you can let me know in the chat box if your dog has had dog walking accidents and if Rita's story relates to you. I'm glad that someone found the chat. I think it was Claire. Nice work. And someone asked if it runs longer than 60 minutes and you can't get the document, you can get it if you watch the replay as well. And also, because I know that you attended, we can agree that I will send it to you via email later to everyone who attended the webinar. Right, quite a few accidents here. And I'm sorry, but so here, Auna, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, with a lab in agility. I can very much relate to the lab and zero body awareness, unfortunately. Those seem quite common. That's really great. About like conditioning work does play a huge role in preventing injuries. So it's really, really important. Right. So there are quite many different and it's very nice. So some of you say that you just want to be prepared for the future, that you haven't had a bad experience, but well, it's better to be prepared. And as I said, so I'm going to move on with the, let's move on, the webinar. So it is better to be prepared. And as I said before, it is actually a prerequisite to training the dog walk. It shouldn't be something that when you see that you have a problem, that then you start targeting it, but it actually should be part of normal training sessions or preparation for dog walk training. So what are these 3 ingredients that your dog actually needs in order to balance and regain balance on the dog walks? Because it can also happen that your dog misplaces a paw off to the side, but can keep on running without falling off. So what does your dog need in order to actually maintain balance on the dog walk and run it without misplacing paws and without falling off? So number 1 is body awareness, and knowing exactly where all the paws and legs and actually any body part really is at any given moment. And also it's important that the individual or the learner, the dog, needs or knows how they move with respect to each other and the environment. So in the case of the dog walk, it's important that your dog knows how wide he or she is, how wide his foot placement is, and how it relates to the environment, the dog walk. So that where the paws are positioned with respect to the dog walk. Then also your dog needs balance, and the balance, it's often thought that it's just staying upright and not falling over or falling off the dog walk. But it's actually, it's more intricate than that, because obviously we can't really assume that when the dog doesn't fall off the dog walk, then obviously he has great balance, because it's not always the case. And balance, actually, I like the explanation that I believe Alexandra Kurland gave. So she's working a lot with horses and is a highly acknowledged animal trainer. And with horses, balance tends to be a lot more important because the human is sitting on the back of the horse. So anything to do with balance becomes very important in horse riding. And I think we do have something to learn from her. And it's not only about staying upright, but it's the ability to change the movement speed and direction quickly and with ease. And that actually gives us a very good hint on how we can train balance while moving. But more of that in a little bit. And then it's coordination, that also your dog needs coordination skills. It is a skill, it can be trained. And coordination is actually combining all the other physical skills. So it's strength training goes into coordination, for example. Body awareness goes into coordination, balance. And it's about the dog putting it all into action. So, and the result, the sign of good coordination is a smooth and fluent movement and performance, and it's done with precision and speed. So basically, when you see a perfect dog walk performance, and if your dog really isn't struggling anymore with the balance or misplacing feet, then you can say that possibly that your dog is running the dog walk with good coordination. And there are different exercises that we can use to train these skills, and specifically for a dog walk. And the first type of exercises are then body awareness exercises. And well, to be honest, there are very many exercises, and most of the fitness training exercises actually work on body awareness. We can't really do anything without body awareness or including it. However, when we talk about the dog walk performance, then we can do some very specific exercises to improve body awareness for this performance. And here I shared images of a dog misplacing a paw off to the side of the dog walk and then pulling it back on. And this dog did manage to continue running on the dog walk. So it was about pulling the leg back on. And if you think about it, if your dog misplaces a paw off to the side, sorry, it went blurry, but hopefully you can get an idea. So off to the side and then has to pull it on, then it's actually a sideways movement. So your dog needs to be able to pull the legs back in sideways and at the same time be able to maintain balance, because it can also, if you imagine like that your one foot is on a step and the other one is off, if you try to step the other leg back onto the platform, then it can be, depending on the conditions, it can be a bit difficult to find balance when you move that leg back in. And we can actually target this. So pulling the leg back onto the platform and maintaining balance while doing that, we can target that with specific exercises. And here I would like to show you an example, and it's quite a common fitness exercise. So I hope that you are already doing it with your dog. It's sidestepping on and off targets. And when we are talking about the dog walk specific sidestepping, then it's better if the surfaces or the platforms that you're using are quite narrow. So it's just to resemble the dog walk surface a bit more. And here I will just show you a clip of one of my students doing a front paw sidestepping exercise. So basically she's placing the treat onto the ground. The dog pulls the right front paw back onto the target, finds balance, and then moves back off. So it's basically like stepping off the platform and back on. So the same movement that your dog may need on a dog walk when misplacing a paw off to the side. So that's with the front paws. And here again, I will show pictures to those who watch the replay, and the video that doesn't give you an idea of what's going on. Then you can see here the description that you place the treat off to the side, the dog places the paw off to the side and then lifts it back onto the target. And we can do a similar thing with the rear paws. And there are several ways that we can practice this, but basically we do want this pivoting kind of movement where the rear feet are doing side steps. And here you can see that the dog is first places the front paws onto the target and then pivots or side steps the rear feet onto the higher platform. And we are using this platform here just to imitate the dog walk surface, because that's also a narrow platform. And these Kato boards, I think that's how you pronounce them, these are just amazing for that kind of work. Now, just to check, you can let me know in the chat box if these exercises made sense to you, and if you can see how they relate to the actual dog walk performance, that the dog knows how to pull the legs back onto the target. So let me know in the chat box if everything makes sense at the moment. Excellent. Also, let me know if you're already doing these exercises with your dog, because they are very common when working or doing any fitness exercises, really. Most of the programs, I think, have them in them already. Well, if you've done with the front feet, then you can also now include the rear feet, because I think with rear feet it's more common to do just a pivoting exercise without stepping onto the platform, but you can include the rear feet now. Excellent, because also on the dog walk, actually, I think it is more common for the rear feet to step off to the side of the dog walk. So front feet are more, well, better coordinated usually. And dogs tend to miss more rarely with the front feet. So here it is better if you include the rear paws stepping on and off the target a little bit more. So then you have both ends covered. Excellent. And I'm also really glad to hear that these exercises make sense to you. Oh, it played it again, the same. So as I said, here again are the photos for those who watch the replay and the video doesn't play that well. So here are the benefits of this body awareness exercises. And here it actually doesn't depend on these specific exercises. So the body awareness work generally has these benefits well, these specific exercises will help your dog to pull the feet back on faster if the misplacing of foot does occur. So if your dog does happen to misplace the paw, then they're able to pull it back in faster when you've done work like that with your dog. Also, it improves maintaining balance while one of the paws moves on and off the platform. As I described earlier, very often when one of the paws is moving sideways, the side and back, then it is actually difficult to maintain balance with the rest of the body. And this kind of exercises help you do that. And help you to increase the challenges more and more so that your dog gets better at balancing during these movements. One of the fun facts is that this kind of exercises actually improve the muscle reaction time. And on the dog walk, we actually do speak about split seconds. So it does matter if your dog reacts just even a tiny bit faster in tricky situations. And doing this kind of exercises helps to improve that reaction time. And one of the very important things for the dog walk is that your dog will get a better understanding of how wide he or she is and how wide her foot placement is, especially when we talk about the rear paws that tend to be often a little bit less coordinated. Then it's important to do the pivoting exercises and pivoting onto a narrow target or platform like this cutter board, that your dog will get a better understanding how wide the rear feet really are, how wide rear feet placement is. Right, I will just check the chat box. So, there's a really good question. And there was a question about putting these behaviors on cues, basically. So this answer goes a little bit deeper, but for these exercises, I personally don't use verbal cues at all, because in real life situations, our dogs are not supposed to react to your cues for pulling the feet back onto the dog walk, but your dog is supposed to react to the environmental cues. So the dog walk being there as a different surface, and also cue of stepping off, basically. Okay, so I generally don't use verbal cues in this kind of situations. So it's all offered behaviors and the dog doing them based on environmental cues. I hope that this makes sense. It goes a little bit off the whole chat, but well, you're welcome. I will now continue. If I missed any of the questions, then I can always target them later. There will be a Q&A, so we can talk about this later. So as I mentioned earlier, then there's the second element that we want to train for the dog walk, and that's balance. And it's all about not misplacing the paw in the first place. So the first set of exercises was for pulling the paw back onto the dog walk if the misplacement has happened already. But actually, we do want our dogs not to misplace the paws in the first place. And in order to achieve that, we do need to train in balance a little bit. But how do you train balance for movement? Because when we think about more general fitness training, then most of it is quite stationary in the sense that your dog, well, your dog is moving, but it's a very small scale movement. And most of the fitness exercises aren't really, your dog isn't exactly running, is it, when doing fitness exercises? And as I described earlier, or used Alexander Kurland's explanation, is that we actually need to look at the definition, or the explanation is that balance is actually the ability to change the movement speed and direction quickly and with ease. So if we want to train balance, then actually what we can do is work on different movement speeds and changing the movement speed during the exercises. And when we talk about the dog walk specifically, then, for example, we can train movement speed changes on narrow surfaces. And one of the easiest things that we can do is actually first getting the dog running a little bit, and then practicing stopping, because stopping is a movement change. And also, if you think about it, then when you are running full speed and have to come to a stop, then it can be quite tricky to stay on a narrow surface, for example. And it's definitely something that challenges the balance, and it's something that you can quite easily use to improve your dog's balance for the dog walk, because you're using a narrower surface. So here in this video, the easiest way to do it is just to throw a reset cookie somewhere behind the platforms. As you see here, like the beginning of the clip, my dog comes from a little bit of distance because that's where he ate the cookie. Then he moves over the platform and stops on a platform. And here it's not about the moving slowly onto the platform, but rather it's about the running. So here it's trotting. So the dog is moving and then has to come to a stop on the platform. And this here, you actually don't have to worry if you want to have a running contact instead of a stopped contact, because it doesn't disturb your running contacts at all, especially if you're training it with other platforms and other pieces of equipment that have nothing to do with the dog walk. Then you don't have to worry about ruining your running dog walk at all. So this is just a simple example, and it's quite easy to do and straightforward. And here is just, you can use very different setups to creating these narrow surfaces for your dog. So here, for example, I have two platforms that are exactly the width of a dog walk, accidentally, not on purpose, but it's a very good practice with this, and a balance disc, basically. And here is just like a video of a very cool-headed dog in my class, who is, he's not rushing with things, but I think it's really nice to see just different dogs doing these exercises. So first he's practicing stopping on all fours on a platform. And then as he's trained for a 2-on, 2-off contact, then they are stopping at the end of the platform with rear feet as well. And here you can include poles in your exercise to work on paw placement, or just challenging the coordination and the balance a little bit more. Starting again from the same place. So again, just a review for the replay. And here it also just like small guidelines if you do want to practice it on your own with your dog. And benefits of doing this kind of exercise is that you will have fewer misplaced steps on a narrow surface. Now it depends a lot on the dog, but for example, my dog who you saw in the first clip, so the redhead, he's actually stopping on a narrow surface didn't come easily for him. He's quite clumsy and enthusiastic boy, and you could in the beginning it was easy to see that when he was stopping on a narrow platform, he was actually struggling to maintain balance, and sometimes it happened that he misplaced his paw off to the side, but now it doesn't happen anymore. And this is one of the places where your dog can actually safely make mistakes, if that makes sense, because especially if you have a dog who is overly enthusiastic and maybe a bit careless with his or her own body, then it may happen that your dog will have some misplaced paws, but doing it on these low setups ensures that your dog will stay safe during these exercises. Then also stopping on these narrow platforms gives your dog the ability to stop on a narrow surface. And while in many cases we want our dogs to run really fast on a dog walk, then you never know what could happen, and when your dog suddenly needs to react to something else and maybe can't properly finish the dog walk or whatever. And it's great if your dog does have this skill to maintain his balance on a narrow surface, even if he doesn't run full speed, because it's always easier to run through something without changing speed, but it's more challenging to run and change the speed of movement, and especially when decelerating or stopping. And as the last thing is that this switching movement speed, and especially when working on this stopping movement, that's always more difficult than acceleration or pushing forward. So it really improves the balance during movement, and especially when we talk about stopping on a narrow surface or a fixed area where your dog does need to stop and stay upright without stepping paws off to the side. Now, again, it's time for you to let me know in the chat if that makes sense and if you see that it's something that you could use in your training with your dog. So do let me know if it all makes sense to you. Excellent, excellent. Can you also see how how it's more challenging to stop on a narrow surface than to just move over it? Yay! I'm glad it does sound like it's making sense, so that's perfect. Exactly. Also, if you want to try out the stopping on a narrow surface, you can try it yourself. We don't even need a dog for that. So that you can just run and try to stop on a step platform or something like that, and then see how it feels. It's challenging, and especially to maintain balance after stopping and not stepping off to the side. So that's another way how you can actually improve the balance skill, specifically for the dog walk performance. Right, let's move on. And now it's my favorite part. It's the coordination part. And this is, again, it's something that it's very rarely trained for sport performance. And I believe that it is the link between gym workouts and real life challenges. So basically, this is the concept that I call movement puzzles. And this is also something that was featured on Agility Nation. But other than that, I don't believe there's anyone else teaching this than me, basically. So these are exercises that put all the skills into action and using body awareness and balance while actually moving. And when we talk about dog walk performance, then we talk about moving on narrow surfaces and making these narrow surfaces and moving over them more and more challenging. And here I don't mean anything extreme, like not anything dangerous for your dog, because it still needs to be safer than practicing these skills on a dog walk. But you can build quite nice long platforms from platforms and balance discs, and you can actually squeeze in different challenges like moving over poles that are placed on platforms and so on. And I use quite a special, well, it's not a special way, but a specific way of training these behaviors, because none of them are on cues. So I don't use verbal cues for training them, because the environmental cue is the most important one for your dog to maintain balance and do the exercise. Well, let's see a clip of it first. Right, so this is Jana, who also joined us today. Hi, Jana, and thank you for allowing me to share your video. And it's of her young border collie doing a long platform exercise, just moving over it. And the challenging part is that the dog has to move around the cone. So the dog is coming straight from the turn, basically, then has to quickly adjust to a straight movement over the platform and then move over the cone again. And the dogs who tend to misplace the paws off to the side of the dog walk usually find this very challenging, and you can actually see that sometimes they do want to misplace their paws when coming from a turn and entering a straight line platform, basically. And by working on this kind of exercise, it improves a lot. So when Rita and Sirka were doing their exercises, then this kind of exercises were the biggest game changer in Sirka's performance for the dog walk. So let's just see this little clip. So the dog moves around the cone over the platform sequence and then back to the pole. And these exercises are built very gradually, starting from just one small platform and adding elements to it one by one and not doing the whole sequence all together. And it's also all shaping based, in the sense that the dog is not lured over the platform or forced onto the platform. It's all about doing it independently and with a good mood and enthusiasm for the exercise. And here I also want to emphasize safety, because when building these sequences, they always need to be safe for the dog. So my own rule is that if I'm building a puzzle for my dog, then I first walk over it myself to see if it actually carries well and stays stable. And here in this video, you can also see some danger spots like the poles and the balance disc, but you could also see that it worked really well for this dog and it wasn't dangerous. But these are the things that always need to be double checked to make sure that nothing is moving or causing any potential injury risk for your dog, because we are trying to avoid injuries here, not cause them. Okay. However, these are really great challenges where they do look easy, and Leia, so dog here in this video, if we look at it again, then Leia did make it look easy, basically, so that it's like, oh, easy peasy. But for dogs who tend to misplace their paws on the dog walk, these exercises aren't easy. And you can often see that during these exercises, they start having the same tendencies like misplacing paws, and these exercises actually allow you to target these problems specifically and make sure that your dog doesn't misplace the paws anymore. Do you have questions for this kind of exercises? So Sylvia asked about the stopping exercise. So these exercises are stopping on a platform, so a narrow surface that resembles the dog walk surface, so that it has clear boundaries, basically. Because stopping on the floor still gives your dog the space to move sideways quite a bit, but we don't want that. We want the stopping to happen within a limited space, so something narrow is perfect. Yes, so bye everyone who had to leave, and we are going to run longer than 1 hour, but I hope that you are okay with it. If you can stay, you're very welcome to stay, obviously. And yes, these exercises change. So the setup that we use today is not the same as the setup we use tomorrow, basically. There's a huge variation that you can do, and it depends a lot on the dog and the problem that you're facing or dealing with to change the setup. So for example, sometimes we need to move the cones closer to the platform. Sometimes we need to move them further away. Sometimes with some dogs, we can't use a balance disc at the end, for example, and these kind of things. So these are quite, they can get quite individual, depending also on what kind of equipment you can use and the problems that your dog is having during the exercises. So these are the place, this is the place where we can actually target the problems that we see during the real performance. Does this make sense? Excellent. Excellent. Also, then I just want to make sure that with these exercises, it's really important that they are built through shaping and through choice, a dog's choice, and making just like creating the exercise setup so that the choice that you want to see is the same one that is most likely for your dog, or the most it's most likely to occur during the session, because when doing coordination exercises, then from human training, in human training, it's a well-known fact that you can't work on coordination skills or body awareness when the learner or the individual is not feeling safe or comfortable in the environment. So it's always important to make sure that your dog is really comfortable with the exercise, with the setup, and is happy doing the exercises, because as soon as we get some stress signals on, or the dog not enjoying the workout, then it's not going to have benefits, if that makes sense. And trotting, I do use trotting for these exercises, mostly because the dogs that I tend to work with want to rush it. Well, they want to do the exercises faster, but we would like them to stay thoughtful about their movements, and then setting trotting as a criteria creates more thoughtful movements, if that makes sense, so that they won't be bouncing through the exercise, but they're actually focusing on what they are doing, if that makes sense. Right, so moving on again, just a quick recap for the replay of the videos. So the benefits of these exercises, so the movement puzzles, is actually fewer misplaced steps when moving on a narrow surface. So your dog can practice balancing and moving on a narrow surface that is away from the dog walk. It's a lot safer, and you can actually vary the setup so that you can target the challenges, the specific challenges that your dog is having. Then also it is about quickly regaining balance if a misplaced step does happen. So if it does happen that your dog misplaces the paw off to the side of this low platform and can then quickly balance, and move on, then this is great. It's also improvement and beneficial for your dog. And also it works on your dog's eye-body coordination. So identifying with your eyes where the surface is, how wide it is, and actually how the body is moving on that narrow surface, and how that eye and body coordination is working together. And also one of the big benefits, especially when facing some challenging entry angles to the dog walk, is the ability to switch quickly between a turn and a straight line. Because when your dog enters the dog walk from a turn, then it's a lot more challenging to regain balance. So your dog, sorry, I went blurry again. So your dog is coming from a turn and then has to suddenly straighten the body. It often when the dog is running with full speed, they can't really straighten their body straight away. So it will be like a little bit wavy in the sense that they have to stabilize their body that is being pushed sideways from that turn that they just came through. So it's really important that your dog can practice this switching from a turn to moving on a straight line. And one of the best ways that you can do it is having this straight platform after a turn, so that that encourages your dog to focus on straightening the body quickly and maintaining balance when coming from a turn. So these are really big benefits for your dog when running the dog walk. So just to quickly recap, is that your dog needs to have body awareness for running the dog walk. So here we looked at the sidestepping, and especially for pulling the leg back onto the platform or the dog walk. And both work on their rear feet also, not just the front feet, rear feet also. These are the trickier ones on the dog walk. Then we also looked at training balance during movement and doing it through stopping. So movement speed changes helps to build balance or improve balance. And the easiest way to do it is stopping from movement. And we try to stop on a narrow platform. So not on the ground, but something narrow that resembles the dog walk a little bit. And don't be worried, it won't ruin running contacts. It's a different exercise. And then putting it all into action while moving on a narrow platform and creating different challenges, focusing on paw placement and balancing skills, is to have these coordination exercises or movement puzzles in your training routine to improve further these skills and make sure that your dog knows how to use the skills that you train from the body awareness and balance exercises, that your dog knows how to put them into use during real life situations. Now, does this all make sense to you? Yes, Silvia. This is one of the reasons that I do this exercise in a curve, is that it does train this from moving from turns to a straight line, but also because it's very easy for the handler to set up, in the sense that, as you saw from Jana's video, she's standing still basically and delivers treats in the bowl and to the side. And in order to do that, you do need to have some kind of curve somewhere so that your dog can turn around. So you can have different setups, but they usually do have curves in them. Usually, I don't count reps for these exercises. It does depend on the dog, and you can never do these exercises when your dog is tired. So fatigue, or your dog showing signs of fatigue, like not being able to balance very well anymore or coordinate the movements, or like stumble and trip over equipment, is a clear sign that it's time to stop. And usually it's maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then your dog is done. So you can't do longer sessions. And as I said, not necessarily counting the repetitions, but observing your dog. And as soon as there's a drop in quality, then stop. Okay, quality over quantity with these exercises, and usually these just a couple of minutes. And with the body awareness exercises, you can do them quite a few times per week, like 3 or 4. But with the movement balance exercises, I wouldn't do necessarily more than 2 or 3 sessions per week, because they're quite demanding and challenging for the dog, especially if you're doing other sports as well and other sports training. Right. So just to give you a little motivational speech here is that you may be here at this webinar. As I said somewhere in the middle, that I kind of assume that you may have had problems with the dog walk before, and you may be scared for your dog's performance. That maybe your dog doesn't have any safety features installed, or the feeling of safety installed, and it's reckless, like Rita's Zirka that you heard about in the very beginning. Maybe you are really worried that your dog might injure herself. For me, that's a real worry, that most of the time when I do something challenging with my dog, then I do worry about injuries due to like past bad experience, really. And it may be that you are scared of the dog walk, so that maybe your current dog hasn't had any problems, but maybe you've had like a friend's dog had a bad fall or something like that. And it also may be that you're just curious, that you don't really have a problem with the dog walk, but you're wondering how can you improve, or maybe include new exercises into your training routine. And I just wanted to say that doing body awareness and balance training is amazing, and it does have so many benefits when used in training sessions. And it does give your dog a whole lot of tools and skills to run on a narrow surface and practice this not misplacing paws and like not losing balance, so that your dog can actually practice this kind of movements in a safe environment without this danger of falling from height, basically. And I really hope that the exercise ideas that I shared today can help you get started right away and include these new types of exercises in your training, and make the dog walk a safer place for your dog, so that you don't need to worry and that your dog doesn't need to worry. And as I've mentioned throughout the webinar, there are kind of quite a few really big benefits to this kind of training. First of all, there's obviously a lower risk of falling off if your dog can already manage better maintaining balance and not misplacing paws on the dog walk, and that also means lower risk of injuries. However, here I would point out that accidents can still happen, that there's no guarantee against accidents, and there's just this thing that you can reduce the chances of accidents happening because your dog not having the balance skills or the body awareness to move safely. You can also teach the dog walk a lot faster. If your dog already knows how to move on a narrow surface and is familiar with it, is comfortable with different challenges, then your dog walk training potentially can go a lot faster, so that your dog can actually focus on hitting the target area, especially when training the running contact. That your dog can just focus on hitting the target area because he's so comfortable moving on a narrow surface, and just adjusting the gait on the actual dog walk to hit the target area it's a no-brainer for your dog. You're also then not risking your dog's confidence, because what can happen when your dog does have a bad experience on the dog walk is that your dog might become scared of it or uncomfortable or lose confidence when running on the dog walk. And you actually don't want to do that. You would like the dog walk to be a fun place for your dog, and so that, because without it being a fun place, your dog can't be confident on it. So you do want to make sure that the dog walk is a safe place for your dog, that your dog can feel at ease when running on it. The other benefits is that when doing these exercises actually doesn't require access to a dog walk. So you can do these at home with some fitness equipment, with some platforms and balance discs. And it does give you the ability to focus on agility and not worrying about your dog. And that, or your dog hitting the dog walk from a tricky angle or something like that. So you don't really have to go around the course at the competition wondering that, oh my goodness, we are never going to get past that dog walk. So you don't need to worry about that anymore. And you can both enjoy doing agility, like the fun sport. And I do think that you can and should teach your dog these essential skills before you start training the dog walk. And obviously, if your dog is already trained on the dog walk and you're seeing some problems, then this is obviously also a right time to start, because better late than never, right? And all it takes is just teaching your dog the body awareness, balance, and coordination that he needs to move on a narrow surface with ease. And the exercises that you saw, these two do create a systematic approach to make sure that your dog can actually move on a narrow surface without misplacing paws or losing balance. Right. So I hope that you got some ideas from this webinar, and I do hope that you can put them into good use already, as they are. But if you are wondering how to train these exercises, or you are not sure about what criteria they should meet while you are training your dog, or what should you observe exactly, and wondering if you're maybe doing them right, and if your dog is having a very specific problem, you don't really know which exercises to choose, or how to do them with your dog, or how to change them for your dog, then that's actually where I can help you. I can help you do these exercises and create a better and safer dog walk experience for your dog. And here's where I would like you to meet my course, Beyond Dog Sports Dog Walk. So it's a step-by-step online course, and it gives you all the how-to steps for the exercises. So it goes well beyond the exercises that you saw today. These were a couple of examples. There are a lot more inside the course, and it gives you a lot of tools to work on your dog's balance and body awareness skills, especially if you're having problems with the dog walk. And also, it is a step-by-step program, so that there are no missing steps there, and it is a clear instructions for you on how to do the exercises, how to build your training plan, and so on. And I would say that it is at the moment the quickest and most effective way to get your dog from being careless and misplacing feet and stepping off to the side to running the dog walk with precision and confidence and balance that you would like to see in your dog. And to get into the details, because we all love some details, it is an 8-week course. It's online, and it walks you through all the 3 types of exercises that you saw. So there are several body awareness exercises, like using paw targets, balance discs, and platforms. There are stopping exercises. So there's a huge variety of different things you can play around with when doing the stopping exercises. And most importantly, the puzzles. So different setups to target the different problems that you may be seeing in your dog. And it's you can get instant access to it although the course itself, the instructor feedback starts on October the 25th, and you will have lifetime access to the content. So the exercises themselves, the theory part, and also the future updates. So I have the tendency to improve the content over time and include new exercises and new resources that make training easier for you, and you will get access to all of that. And it is a step-by-step guideline, and I'm quite known for super clear instruction videos, so that's included in the course. And there's nothing left out, in the sense that there are every single step for the exercise is included in the course. And in this course, we also have a student community and instructor feedback. So you're not left to figure out things on your own, but actually I will be there helping you through the exercises. So that's a bonus. So imagine if you don't have to worry about the dog walk anymore, or your dog missing a step or falling off the dog walk. And I've heard quite a few stories by now about the, oh, something happened here. Someone drew on the slide. How did this happen? Does everyone else see it as well? Anyway, so I've seen quite many situations, or heard several stories about dogs falling off and having bad injuries, and the owners being really worried about their dogs, and wondering if they can actually run that or train the dog walk in a different way than is often instructed, like just let your dog figure it out or fall off and so on. I actually don't want you to worry anymore. Okay, so I don't want you to worry if your dog is falling off or will have an injury from stumbling on the dog walk or anything like that. So that's why the course is here in the first place. Also, so first of all, I don't want you to worry anymore. And secondly, well, it's important that you can, when playing agility, that you can focus on running the course, that you don't have to wonder like, okay, so this is a tricky angle. I'm not sure if we will manage that. How should I change my handling to make it super safe for my dog, because we can't handle this entry angle. So I would like you to be able to focus on the courses, and your dog to be able to focus on the courses, and to make sure that you know that you can, that the course will continue after the dog walk, that it doesn't stop at the dog walk, and you can safely learn the rest of the course as well, because you will get there. Also, you can get to your running contacts behavior or performance faster, because your dog doesn't have to figure out multiple things at the same time, doesn't have to figure out how to move on the narrow surface and hit the target area, but rather your dog already knows how to move on a narrow surface, and hitting the target area will get there faster. And we know that when training running contacts is quite a time consuming and repetitive challenge, basically. So imagine if you can make it a little bit shorter for your dog, that would be amazing. And also I want you to feel that you've done everything you can to make sure that your dog is safe playing the sport that you both love. Okay. Right, it does look like someone's drawing is on the screen. I have no idea how it ended up here. So that's what the Beyond Dog Sports Dog Walk course is all about. And all you have to do during this course is follow the steps, the instructions for the exercises. So this is exactly now what we are going to master or do during this course. Is that there are 3 core modules focusing on the same types of exercises as you saw during this webinar, so that there are paw target exercises to help your dog to pull back the leg quickly when it is misplaced on a dog walk. Then there are exercises for stopping and improving your dog's balance while moving, especially on a narrow surface. And there is a module on movement puzzles, so specifically targeting the movement challenges that your dog is facing when on a narrow surface, and making sure that your dog can navigate a variety of challenges for the actual dog walk performance, and do it safely without the actual dog walk. Okay. So here's the main question, isn't it? What's the investment level? And before we get to that part, I would just like to bring it out that first of all, you could try mastering these exercises yourself, and it may be that you already have the skills in place and you can actually take the videos that I shared or the exercises that I shared and run with them, use them, and do really great things with them. But also it can happen that trying to mix and match from different resources will take you a really long time, different courses. And one of the main questions, because it is a tricky situation, because it is a dangerous thing if your dog doesn't maintain balance on the dog walk. So is it something that you're willing to like wait for longer? Is it something that you wouldn't want to get fixed as soon as possible, basically? And how long are you willing to let this drag on, this problem, and facing this during your agility training? And also, because if your dog is struggling on the dog walk and is stumbling and falling off, then potentially you're also spending a lot of time on training the dog walk, which means a lot of courses and training field rent, basically doing all these repetitions with your dog. Or you can join us in the dog walk course. We are waiting for you. And it doesn't really cost thousands of dollars, but it is 297 euros. So that's 347 USD or US dollars. It's an 8-week course and feedback is included. Now I offer 2 levels. One of them is a regular working spot, feedback included, and there's a VIP or the premium support option also. If you feel like you are facing challenges that you would like some extra help with, or you want to submit more videos, then this is the spot for you. And here are the main differences, or what's included, and what are the differences is that with regular working spot, you get to submit 6 minutes of edited video per week for feedback, and the VIP spot gets unlimited video submission per week. Okay, and also the regular working spot has a general course training plan to follow, included in the course, and VIP spot gets a tailored training plan if they need it. So the order of exercises will be adjusted based on the individual and their needs and the challenges that they are facing. And there are only 10 VIP spots. And as I said, the regular working spot is just 297 euros. So that's 8 weeks and feedback to all of your videos and training challenges. So that's a pretty good deal. And if you do feel like you would like some extra support and you want to submit more videos, then it's the VIP spot, 497 euros. And in addition to that, you will get some nice bonuses like a training plan in a PDF and Google Sheet format, and it has really nice checkboxes in it, so you can check off things. Also, there will be a quick guide to mastering your training sessions, focusing on the training setup and handler mechanics and what things to check during your training sessions to make sure that you're actually training like a pro, basically. And a troubleshooting guide for most of the challenges that you may be facing during your training sessions. So it may easily happen that your dog is not doing things like shown in the instructions. So what to do then? What to do next? So that's why there's a troubleshooting guide. And also, there's a money back guarantee, obviously, because I want you to be happy with this course. I want to help you. I want to make sure that you're actually getting benefits from this course and that you can see your dog progressing when doing these exercises, which is why if this course isn't what you expected, and if you don't find it very, if you don't find value in the content, then it's no questions asked. You can send me an email and I will give you a refund, a full refund. I would also like to share some success stories from my past students. One of them is Nikki, who is saying that these exercises really well supplement her agility training, and she's now more certain that her dog is has the skills to move on the dog walk with confidence, and that the dog walk is actually a fun place, not a scary place. Then there's well, obviously there was Sirka, as you saw already, and there's Edith, who found that her dog, just like doing a couple of exercises from the course, she's now finding that her dog is falling. Well, she hasn't had any incidents since she started the course. And with a later discussion after this post from her, she actually says she's quite confident that it is from the exercises that she's been doing throughout this course, which is pretty amazing, really. And I really like how Red said that the exercises in this course are designed so that both the dog and the handler will experience the minimum amount of error and frustration. And everything is broken up into simple, easy to understand pieces that fluidly build up to more complex behaviors in a satisfyingly logical manner. Did you hear that? Satisfyingly logical manner. So there are some pretty nice results. And also, if you would like to read Rita's whole story about Sirka's progress, then it's here. You already saw some shorter clips, but I think that her progress was really amazing from these exercises, and she was the inspiration behind this course. And I'm actually glad that she told me about this problem with the running contact, because I think that we can make that dog walk safer for our dogs, have fewer falls, and make sure that the falls that do happen, that they are not from the lack of skills from dogs, not just simply not knowing how to move on a narrow surface. So that's something that we can and should train separately from everything else. So just a quick recap is that if you do decide to join us, and I hope that you do, that's what you will get. You will get 3 core modules focusing on the exercises. So the target exercises for body awareness, stopping exercises for balance, and movement puzzles for coordination skills. You will also get the fast track training plan. So it will be easier for you to track your exercises and create a plan for your training sessions. You get the quick guide to mastering your training sessions and making sure that exercise setup and handler mechanics are all spot on, and the troubleshooting guide. And the regular working spot is 297 euros. The VIP is 497. And you will get feedback on your exercises. And also, if you do decide to sign up now within this webinar, then there's a bonus for you that you will get the 6-month pass to my exclusive members only podcast and video library. And in this library, I take a deep dive into body awareness and balance training, and you will get very handy tips on how to use these exercises from the dog walk course for improving other skills that, or maybe other challenges that your dog is struggling with. And also how to, for example, how to structure your warm-up routines so that your dog actually has the coordination and the nervous system woken up for your training sessions. So this is something cool that will complement the rest of the dog training area. So I will now announce the course winner. One second, because we did have a sharing content competition, sorry. And I guess you all want to know who the lucky winner is from sharing. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Christine, for saying these kind words. So the winner, it's time to announce the winner, and it's Kathy Baldy. I will type it in the chat box. Yeah, is she here? So she won the access to this course. So Beyond Dog Sports dog walk course. Yes, Kathy is here. So congratulations. Send me an email at mari@themovingk9.com and you will get your access to this course. And in case anyone, well, not in case, but if you would really like to target your dog walk performance and to make sure that your dog has all the skills that are required for running the dog walk safely, and you would like to join this course, then I will add the link to join this course to the chat box now. And as I said, if you do decide to join us now during this webinar, then you will also get access to the members only podcast, which is complements the rest of the training. So I posted the link so you can join me. Yay, that's really cool. Join me and Kathy, because Kathy is in as well. And just to give you a quick recap is that, so it includes 3 core modules for paw target exercise and body awareness, stopping exercises for balance training, and movement puzzles, plus 3 bonuses. So I really look forward to seeing you in this course and working with you and making sure that the dog walk is safe for your dog. And both of the payment options do include feedback from me and targeting specific problems that you are facing with your dog. So I really hope to see you there. Now, also, I would like to share the link to the slides because it was your reinforcement for staying till the end and obviously finding out who won. So I will just share the link here. And so using this link, you can get the slides and download the slides, and hopefully it will work. So it's a Google Drive link. So you can download the slides and get the slides and keep them for a lifetime, really. You're welcome, Miri. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for attending. Right. Do you have any questions? Because I'm now done with the teaching part and letting you know about the 3 types of exercises that your dog needs for running the dog walk safely. And if you do have any questions, then now is the time to ask. Because I'm here to listen and to reply. So Miri is asking what basic exercise to use to check if the dog is ready to do next exercises. So here I assume that you mean the exercises like stopping or moving over a platform, like a puzzle or something like that. So how do you know if your dog is ready? So the order that I would train these exercises is first the body awareness and the paw target exercises, then the stopping exercises, and then the puzzle exercises. And I would, so first do the paw target exercises, and when you can see that your dog can confidently place the front and rear paws on the targets from different directions, then you can move on to doing stopping on these same targets. So the same targets that you used for the sidestepping, you then use these targets for stopping exercises. And when your dog is able to stop on these same targets, then you can add the movement puzzle over these targets, if that makes sense. So these exercises do build on each other, so that you first start with the targets with the sidestepping, then you start stopping with the same targets if your dog is comfortable with sidestepping. And when your dog is comfortable with stopping, then you move on to the moving over the same targets. Oh my goodness, I gave you the wrong link. Sorry, I will, let's go and check the correct link. I'm sorry about that. Right, I will stop screen sharing for a second. I'm glad you told me that this, right, let's try this again. So I uploaded or shared the link again. Can you check if it's working now? In my computer, it is giving the slides. Until now, so smooth. So let me just see. I think I will just try to give you the direct link to the Google Drive without the fancy button. Let me just quickly do that. I'm sorry about this. Obviously, something had to happen. Right, I've got it now. So this is for the download. Can you see the link now? And hopefully it works. Excellent. Yes, so you can get the slides now. And I will also add the course link